Hello, Oscar. Grandpa here. I hope you're well and having a lovely time with Mummy and Daddy and your little sister Annabelle. And it's hello from me, Grandpa, and from Moosey. Hello, Oscar. Hello, Oscar. Moosey, you been good, Moosey? Yeah, I've been good. I've been good. You've been looking after Oscar's bed? Yeah, I've been looking after Oscar's bed. Of course I have. And also lots of love from Granny, and Granny and Auntie Anna are just sat in there watching some television, which is nice. So I thought I would read you a little bit more about Hiccup and how to train your dragon. It's very exciting. If you remember, Hiccup's dragon, Toothless, he was speaking. Hiccup decided he'd speak to Toothless, and Toothless bit him on the arm, didn't he? And they looked into one another's eyes, and Hiccup thought this was amazing. I'm really making contact here, when Toothless bent down and bit him on the arm. Hiccup let out a yelp and threw Toothless off him. Fish, hissed Toothless, hovering in the air in front of Hiccup. Want fish now. I haven't got any fish, said Hiccup in Dragonese, rubbing his arm. Luckily, Toothless didn't have any teeth. Fancy not having no teeth, Oscar. But dragons have powerful jaws, so it's still painful. Toothless bit him on the other arm. Fish, said Toothless again. Are you okay? Asked Fishlegs. I can't believe I'm asking this, but what's he saying? He wants to eat, replied Hiccup, grimly rubbing both arms. He tried to make his voice sound firm but pleasant, to dominate the creature by the sheer force of his personality, as Gobber had said. But we have no fish. Okay then, said Toothless. Eat cat. Oh dear. He made a lunge for Fiddlesticks, who streaked up the nearest wall with a yowl of terror. Hiccup just managed to grab Toothless by the tail as he flew off in pursuit. The dragon struggled wildly, shouting, Want fish now! Want food now! Cats are yummy! Want food now! We don't have any fish, repeated Hiccup, from between gritted teeth, feeling all his calmness deserting him. And you can't eat cat. I like him. Fiddlesticks meowed indignantly from a beam high in the roof. They put Toothless in Stoic's bedroom, where there was a mouse problem. For a while he was happy swooping after the desperately squeaking mice. But then he got bored and started attacking the mattress. Stop! Yelled Hiccup, as feathers flew in all directions. Toothless replied by sicking up the remains of a recently deceased mouse right in the middle of Stoic's pillow. Ah, said Hiccup. Ah, said Stoic the Vast, who entered the room at that very moment. Oh dear. Toothless launched himself at Stoic the Vast's beard, which he mistook for a chicken. Get him off, said Stoic. He doesn't do what I say, said Hiccup. Yell very loudly at him, Stoic shouted. Very loudly. Hiccup yelled as loudly as he could, in Dragonese, of course. Please, will you stop eating my father's beard? As Hiccup had suspected, Toothless took absolutely no notice whatsoever. I knew I'd be useless at yelling, thought Hiccup gloomily. Drop to the floor, you horrible little reptile, yelled Stoic. Toothless dropped to the floor. You see, said Stoic, that's how to deal with dragons. Newt's Breath and Hookfang, Stoic's hunting dragons, came paddling into the room. Toothless stiffened as they paced around him, their yellow eyes glinting evilly. Each was about the size of a leopard, and they were as delighted by his arrival as a couple of giant cats might be by that of a cute little kitten, because Toothless wasn't very big, was he, Oscar? Greetings, fellow fire-breather, hissed Newt's Breath, as he gave the wriggling newcomer a sniff. We must wait, purred Hookfang menacingly, until we are alone, and then we can give you a proper welcome. I don't think that would be a welcome, do you, Oscar? He gave a vicious swipe at Toothless with one paw. A claw like a kitchen knife just nicked Toothless on the rump, and the little dragon howled and jumped into Hiccup's tunic until only his tail was poking out of the neck. Hook Fang, bellowed Stoik. My claw slipped, whined Hook Fang. Get out of here before I make you into handbags, yelled Stoik. And Newt's Breath and Hook Fang slunk out, muttering obscene dragon curses under their breaths. As I was saying, said Stoik the Vast, that's how to deal with dragons. Stoik was looking at Toothless with uncharacteristic anxiety. Son, said Stoik, hoping that there might be some sort of mistake. Is this dragon your dragon? Yes, father, Hiccup admitted. It's very small, isn't it? Said Stoik slowly. There's a picture of Stoik. Look, Stoik the Vast. That's Hiccup's dad. He looks a bit fearsome, doesn't he? What a great beard. Stoik was not an observant person, but even he could not fail to notice that this dragon really was remarkably small. Because Stoik actually has Toothless, look, on his arm. Toothless is tiny, isn't he? And it hasn't got any teeth. There was an awkward silence. Fishlegs came to Hiccup's rescue. That's because it's an unusual breed, said Fishlegs. A unique and a violent species called the Toothless Daydream, distant relations of the monstrous Nightmare, but far more ruthless and so rare they are practically extinct. Really? Stoik surveyed the Toothless Daydream doubtfully. It looks just like a common or garden to me. Ah, but with respect, Chief, said Fishlegs, that's where you're wrong. To the amateur eye, and indeed to its prey, it looks exactly like a common or garden. But if you look a little closer, the characteristic daydream marking, Fishlegs pointed to a wart on the end of Toothless's nose, marks it out more from the ordinary breed. By Thor, you're right, said Stoik. And it's not just your average Toothless Daydream either. Fishlegs was getting carried away now. He's telling a bit of a story. This particular dragon is of royal blood. No, said Stoik, very impressed. Stoik was a terrific snob. Yes, said Fishlegs solemnly. Your son is only Gollenberg with the offspring of King Daggerfangs himself, the reptilian ruler of Wild Dragon Cliff. The royal daydreams tend to start out small, but they grow into creatures of impressive, even gargantuan size. Can you believe that, Oscar? Just like you, eh, Hiccup, said Stoik, giving a great laugh and ruffling his son's hair. Because Hiccup wasn't really big at all, was he? Stoik's tummy gave out a plaintive rumble like a distant underground explosion. Time for a little supper, I think. Clear up the mess, will you, boys? Stoik strode off, relieved to have had his faith in his son restored. Thanks, Fishlegs, said Hiccup. You were inspired. Not at all, said Fishlegs. I owed you one after setting you up for that fight with Snotlight. Father's going to find out at some point anyway, though, said Hiccup gloomily. Not necessarily, said Fishlegs. Look at all that talking you were doing with the Toothless Daydream here. That was incredible, unbelievable. Because, you know, Hiccup was talking Dragonese, wasn't he, Oscar? Can you talk Dragonese? I think I'd struggle a little bit. I've never seen anything like it. You'll be training him in next to no time. I was talking to him all right, said Hiccup, but he didn't listen to a word I said. When he was going to bed that night, Hiccup didn't want to leave Toothless in front of the fire with Newt's Breath and Hook Fang. Can I take him to bed with me? He asked Stoik. A dragon is a working animal, said Stoik the Vast. Too much hugging and kissing will make him lose his vicious streak. But Newt's Breath will kill him if I leave him alone with them. Newt's Breath gave an appreciative growl. It would be my pleasure, he hissed in Dragonese. Nonsense, boomed Stoik, unaware of Newt's Breath's last remark as he didn't speak Dragonese. He gave Newt's Breath a friendly cuff round the horns. Newt's Breath just wants to play. That sort of rough and tumble is good for a young dragon, makes him learn to stick up for himself. Hook Fang extended his claws like flick knives and drummed them on the hearth. Look, there's Hook Fang with his claws out. Ooh, they look dastardly. Hiccup pretended to say good night to Toothless by the fire, but smuggled him into the bedroom under his tunic. You must be absolutely quiet, he told Toothless sternly as they climbed into bed, and the dragon nodded eagerly. In fact, he snored loudly the entire night. But Hiccup didn't care. Hiccup spent the whole of the winter on Berk in various states of very cold, ranging from fairly chilly to absolutely freezing. At night, too many layers were considered sissy, so Hiccup generally lay awake for a couple of hours until he had shivered himself into a light sleep. Ooh, that sounds horrible, doesn't it? Being cold at night, Oscar. Now, though, as Hiccup stretched his feet out against Toothless's back, he felt waves of heat coming off the little dragon, gradually creeping up his legs and warming his freezing cold stomach and heart, even travelling right up to his head, which hadn't been truly warm for almost 6 months. Even his ears burned contentedly. It would have taken the snoring of 6 strong dragons to have woken up Hiccup. So deeply did he sleep that night. So there's Hiccup asleep. Look, he's all asleep. And if you look down the side there towards the bottom of the bed, you'll see Toothless just poking out. It's keeping Hiccup warm. So it's chapter 8 now, training your dragon the hard way. Hiccup was still pretty certain, knowing dragons as he did, that yelling was the easiest method of training them. So over the next couple of weeks he tried yelling at Toothless to see if he could make it work. He tried yelling loudly, firmly, strictly. He looked as cross as he could, but Toothless wouldn't take him seriously. Hiccup finally gave up on the yelling when Toothless stole a kipper off his plate one morning at breakfast. Hiccup let out his most fierce and frightening yell, and Toothless just gave him a wicked look and knocked everything else on the floor with one swipe of his tail. That was it for the yelling as far as Hiccup was concerned. "Okay then," said Hiccup, "I'll try going to the other extreme." So he was as nice to Toothless as he possibly could be. He gave Toothless the comfort bit of the bed and then lay dangerously balanced on the edge of it himself. He fed himself as much kipper and lobster as he wanted. He fed Toothless as much kipper and lobster as he wanted. Hiccup only did this once, though, as the little dragon just went on eating until he had made himself thoroughly sick. Ooh, don't want to do that, do you, Oscar? He played games with Toothless for hours and hours. He told Toothless jokes, he brought him mice to eat, he scratched the bit that Toothless couldn't quite reach in between the spokes on his back. He made that dragon's life as close to dragon heaven as he possibly could. So by mid-February, the winter was coming to an end on Berk, and the snowy season had turned into the rainy season. It was the kind of weather where your clothes never got dry, no matter what. Hiccup would hang up his sodden tunic on a chair in front of the fire before going to bed at night. In the morning it would still be wet. Warm and wet rather than cold and wet, but wet nonetheless. The ground all around the village had turned into knee-deep mud. Ooh, that sounds nasty, doesn't it, Oscar? "What in Woden's name are you doing?" asked Fishlegs when he came across Hiccup digging a large hole just outside the house. "Building a mud wallow for Toothless," panted Hiccup. "You spoil that dragon, you really do," said Fishlegs, shaking his head. "It's psychology, you see," said Hiccup. "It's clever and subtle, not like that caveman yelling you're doing with Horror Cow." Fishlegs had named his dragon Horror Cow. The horror bit was to make the poor creature at least sound a bit frightening. The cow bit was because for a dragon she really was remarkably like a cow. She was a large, peaceful brown creature with an easy-going nature. Fishlegs suspected she might even be vegetarian. "I'm always catching her nibbling at the woodwork," he complained. "Blood, Horror Cow, blood, that's what you should want." Nonetheless, maybe Fishlegs was a better yeller than Hiccup, or maybe Horror Cow was lazier and more obliging than Toothless. But Horror Cow was proving very easy to train by the yelling method. "Okay, Toothless, it's ready," said Hiccup. "Get yourself a good wallow." Nice big mud hole, wasn't it? Toothless stopped trying to catch voles and leapt into the mud. He rolled over and over in the oozy gun, spreading out his wings and squirming happily. There's a picture of him down there, look, squirming in the mud. Whoa. "I'm bonding with him," said Hiccup, "so he'll want to do what I say." "Hiccup," said Fishlegs, as Toothless sucked up a good mouthful of the mud and spat it out straight into Hiccup's face. "I may not know much about dragons, but I do know that they are the most selfish creatures on earth. No dragon is ever going to do what you want out of gratitude. Dragons do not know what gratitude is. Give up. This will never work." Well, we'll have to find out next time, Oscar, whether it does work or not. So that's it for today. lots of love from me and from Granny and Auntie Anna and everybody else here to you and your little sister Annabelle and Mummy and Daddy. And from Moosey too. So bye from us for now. Talk soon. Bye. Bye.